So last night, we all witnessed Donald Trump getting absolutely embarrassed while speaking at the Libertarian Convention in Washington, D.C. He went there asking for their support, asking for their endorsement, and instead, throughout his entire speech to them, he got booed. Every single time he said something or made a claim about policy he wants to pass, they booed him, and the boos were deafening. And you could see in his face while he was talking that he was like really agitated, really frustrated, that he was just getting humiliated in this public manner. So the Trump campaign has kind of had to stop the bleeding because he's been getting clowned on social media, embarrassed by the news media. So they had to think fast, think on their toes, and send him out there for another campaign event to try to make it seem like he's popular and that this was just a one-off event and the American people are just lining up to see Donald Trump. Except this new campaign event that they had today didn't really go to plan. So the Trump campaign sent him out to the Nascar Coca-Cola 600. This is like F1 and things like that, racing cars, and it's taking place in North Carolina. This should be, kind of Trump territory, right? That he goes there and people are flocking to see him, and these huge crowds are just so happy to see Donald Trump, but not quite. As soon as he got out of his vehicle, they tried to stage a fake event where he's pretending to wave to crowds that were cheering for him, but they just weren't there. Take a look at the clip. Yeah, he's waving to nobody. There's nobody there. There's nobody cheering for him. There are no crowds. There are no supporters. There are no red hat wearers. He's waving at nothing. They're trying to stage this fake event. I predict that his editors will soon edit it in a way to make it seem like he was waving to a huge crowd of people and that there's so many people excited to see him, but he wasn't waving at anything. And they tried to they put out that raw footage. That's how they released it from Trump's Instagram account, but there's nobody there. They're trying to gaslight us into not using our own eyes. I mean, we can all see that nobody's cheering for him and that he's waving at air. The whole Trump campaign is a facade. It's a total lie. And they're trying to always make it seem like Trump is more popular than he is, with the big rallies that are not really that big, or these big speeches that are not really that big, or these events he goes to where he's waving to major crowds, and those crowds are just not there. So that was just when he arrived, right? He just got there and there wasn't anybody there. And then eventually he did greet some supporters. There were people excited to see him. I have no idea why. I would run the opposite direction of Donald Trump if he was in my proximity. I know you'd do the same thing. But then he got, mingled with people. He started talking to them. And then they started to play Amazing Grace for a flyover that was happening at this event. And it really didn't seem like Donald Trump knew what was going on or knew what to do with his hands and his body. And he kind of just panicked and started saluting while Amazing Grace is playing. So take a look at that clip as well. Yeah, what is he doing? Why is he saluting during Amazing Grace? This is not the national anthem, buddy. This is Amazing Grace. They're playing it at a NASCAR event, and he's saluting the entire time. This is an individual, Donald Trump, who has no idea what's taking place around him. He has no idea how to be a normal member of society because he grew up in a gold penthouse in New York City, right? He has no idea what average people are doing every day of the week. And when he goes to these events, you can really tell. You can really see that Donald Trump is unaware of what to do. He doesn't really know what's going on around him. So he does stuff like this. He starts saluting during Amazing Grace. And I have a reaction from an account on Twitter that I want to show you that I think kind of perfectly sums up my thoughts on it. This is from an account called Biden's Wins. They track, all of these different accomplishments of the Biden administration. It says, breaking, a clearly confused Donald Trump, after waving at a crowd that didn't exist, is now saluting for Amazing Grace. It's beyond clear that Donald Trump isn't mentally well. Repost so all Americans can see this. I agree. And the funny thing is that if Joe Biden did this, if President Biden saluted during Amazing Grace, it would be front page news for Fox News, Newsmax, and OAN for a week straight. They wouldn't stop talking about it. It would be all over social media from these conservative accounts. But since it's Donald Trump, they have no problem. They think it's perfectly okay. They brush it off saying, oh, it's no big deal. He just, forgot what to do at that moment in time, or, he was just improvising. They'll come up with some asinine excuse to kind of justify what Donald Trump is doing here. But he is clearly kind of like off his rocker. He doesn't really know what to do. He's kind of just panicking. He says, oh, everybody's standing around me. Let me salute during Amazing Grace. So strange. And the last thing I want to show you from this campaign event might be the most embarrassing part of this story. Like, it is such a self-inflicted wound, a self-own to the highest degree, that I have no idea why the Trump campaign did this, why they authorized this, why they were allowed to post this. But essentially, a Trump advisor, her name is Margot Martin, she put out this photo, this post on Twitter, saying Donald Trump is waving at supporters at the Coca-Cola 600 NASCAR race, right? So she's saying that all these people are waving at Donald Trump. He's waving at supporters, right? Not quite. Because if you zoom in on the photo that you can see right now, there is nobody waving at him. The majority of people right there, the overwhelming majority, are looking at the cars that are racing. They're looking at the race. They're facing forward. There are a couple of people standing there with phones and taking pictures. I counted like maybe one or two, maybe three. But he's not waving at anybody. There's nobody standing up excited to see Donald Trump in that moment in time. As I mentioned earlier, their entire campaign is a facade. It's a lie. Total lie. Do they think that we just won't zoom in on the photo and see that nobody is standing up for him? Do they think that the average American is going to look at this and you'd be like, you know what? They're right. There's so many people applauding. I mean, I know that the MAGA cult, the Trump supporters, will make it up in their mind that there's so many people excited to see him, but it's just not there. This is the biggest self-own. They're putting out a photo of absolutely nobody excited to see him. All of these people are just like, I just want to watch the race that I paid to see. I'm not interested in this guy trying to host a campaign event here. I just paid to come see some racing. That's what they're there for. They're not there for Donald Trump, and you can tell by that photo. They're facing forward. They're sick of this guy. Get out of the event. So that's an amazing cell phone, and that's a decent summary of what we saw from Donald Trump at this campaign event today. Again, a total embarrassment. So you have booze last night during his entire speech, and then today, with damage control, they sent him to a NASCAR race just to wave at nobody, salute during Amazing Grace, and own themselves. That is a perfect summary of how Donald Trump's 2024 campaign is going. And I'm loving every second of their spiral. Just the constant spiral that they're on. So anyway, I'll leave it there. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe down below. It goes such a long way. I greatly appreciate it. Also, drop a like on the video, comment. Please let me know what you think about all of this. And of course, share the video with anybody you think needs to see it. And as always, I really appreciate you being here, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.